Hello everyone. Last week I was talking about using some chords to make up a little bit of a composition, and I suggested you start by playing around with a pattern of just maybe 2 chords, and there were lots of suggestions. For example, one of them was going from a C major chord to a D major chord. Another possibility, which we marked down as being sort of dramatic or sort of Middle Eastern, was to go from a C chord to an F minor, like that. These little patterns of chords are based on ideas used often by Hollywood composers. Some in the major key, some in the minor key. So you go from A minor to F minor and back again. You get that very dark, dramatic, evil sort of baddie sound. So I hope last week you played around with some patterns of chords and found some that you like. And when I say pattern of chords, maybe you just did 2 of them in a row. Maybe you put together a couple of pairs of chords. So you started with C minor, D, and then you went C, F minor. Or maybe you came up with something totally different. But my hope is you've played around with some chords and maybe come up with a wee pattern of chords that you like. One of the ones that I think works particularly well is going from C to E minor. It's a very sort of wistful sound. It was used by Danny Elfman in the music to Edward Scissorhands, I think. Now, just having a pattern of 2 chords, just that, C, E minor. There's not much to it. And there's only so many times you can play that before it becomes really boring. I mean, that is music, that is just a couple of chords, but it's an introduction or it's maybe an accompaniment to something else, so we need to develop it. The most obvious ways we can develop it are to change the texture and to add a melody. Now the texture is just the way you play the notes to create a sound. Playing them like this, in what you might call a homophonic way, that means all the sounds are sounding at the same time, almost like in a sort of hymn tune backing. That's one example of a texture. A different texture is when you play all the notes individually. For example, we can play up the chord in what might be called a broken chord or arpeggio. Or we could just repeat the chords like this. Or we could play a bass note down here. So if I play the C chord, I can play the C down here and play the notes of the chord in my right hand and get a sort of vamp going. C, E minor. There are lots of other possibilities for textures. But those are some simple ideas that would work really very well. So that's the first thing you can do. Take your 2 chords, play around with different textures. You can do this on a ukulele or a guitar as well. On the piano, it really helps to know what notes you're using. You can, if you're on a keyboard, you can press the single finger chord function. You can just press C, or you can press the E with the black note to the left there to get an E minor chord. But it really does help to know what notes you're using. If you're not very sure, you'll find that most chords on the piano are played with what I call a 1, 3, 5 position. So a C chord is C, E, and G. And that same position, where your fingers are covering 5 keys on the keyboard, that same position can give you a chord wherever you stick that position. So 1, 3, 5. Your thumb, your middle finger, your pinky. Where you need a bit more knowledge is sometimes chords require black notes to make them give you the sound that you want. So for example, if you want a D major chord and you put your thumb on D, because it's the bottom note that gives the chord its name, so thumb on D, your pinky's on an A, the middle note under your middle finger is an F. Now if we play that combination, we end up with not a D major chord but a D minor one. You'll remember that minor chords sound sad or dark, dramatic, and major chords sound bright and happy. So to get that major sound, we need to make that into an F sharp instead of an F natural. There's D minor, there's D major. So your 1-3-5 shape on the keyboard of the piano always gives you a chord, but sometimes you have to move one or two of the notes up or down a bit to become black notes, depending on whether you want the chord to be major or minor. On the guitar or on the ukulele, you don't really need to know at this stage what notes you're actually playing. You just need to know the shape that you need to get to play a particular chord, a C chord, an E minor chord, or whatever. And the best way of finding out is the internet. If you're not sure about anything in music, just type it in as a question to Google or on YouTube. So for example, if you don't know the notes of an E minor chord on the piano or on the guitar or the ukulele, just type it into Google or YouTube and it will come up with 16 billion answers. If it's confusing, type in what is the easiest way to play, for example, a C chord or an E minor chord. The information is out there and it's probably explained far better than I can. So, we have hopefully some chords. I've chosen C and E minor. Play around with different textures. Try playing the notes one by one. Try playing a bass note and then some chords in the middle of the piano. Try playing maybe repeated patterns of chords. Something like that. Once you're happy with what you've got, and another idea to develop a piece of music is to try to make a melody. One of the best ways of doing this is to record yourself playing the chords and then see if you can mess about with melodic ideas somewhere up the piano or on the guitar. If you're doing this on GarageBand, you all have an iPad hopefully that's working. I know there are technical issues, but if you have a if you have an iPad with GarageBand, record yourself playing the chords, and it can be you actually playing them live, or of course you can use one of the touch instruments on GarageBand. I can do this on my piano, so I'm going to hit record there, and I'm going to record a C, E minor, C, E minor, now what I can do now is to play that back and fiddle about over the top. So I'll play that pattern back. First of all, I'm just going to use totally random notes to make up a melody over the top. Now that was a disaster. No, it didn't work at all. Why didn't it work at all? One reason it didn't work at all was I was literally playing random stuff. There were no patterns there. Music needs patterns. You need little ideas, little chunks of tune. The second reason it didn't work, of course, is that I was using the wrong notes. I was using notes that don't fit with the chords. A C chord has the letter names C, E, and G in it. An E minor chord has E, G, and also B. If I play notes that clash against those ones, for example, if I'm playing a C chord, C, E, G, and I play an E flat in my right hand, we've got a clash between the E here and the E flat here. No. There are times in music where you want bits of clashing sounds, but you certainly don't want this kind of thing all the time. It just doesn't really work. So if you want a melody to fit, you have to choose notes for your melody that match the chord notes. So I've said the C chord is C, E, and G. The E minor chord is E, G, and B. If we start with those notes, we'll find something that works. So you'll have noticed there, when I played the C chord, C, E, G, there's a kind of overlap with the E minor chord, which is E, G, and B. So E and G are in both those chords. If I just stick to E and G for my melody, it's bound to work. Let's play the accompaniment again that I recorded earlier, and I'm just going to use E and G to make up a wee pattern. Now, you'll notice my pattern there only had 3 notes in it, G, E, G. Okay, 2 of them were a G. Now you might think that's not much of a composition, but actually that's where you start with a composition, is a little idea. Notes that definitely work because they match the chords, and a very small pattern, and you repeat it. Then you can develop it. We can take, and it could become, added in an extra note there, an A. Largely speaking, if your chords have white notes, you want your tune to have white notes as well. As I say, you start with the notes that actually belong with the chord, but then you can branch out as long as you don't go too far. Don't use loads and loads of black notes unless there are loads and loads of black notes in your chords. Where we can go with this another time is to choose a particular scale, not just the notes of the chords, and not just sticking to white notes in this case, but we could choose, for example, a blues scale or a pentatonic scale or a chromatic scale or a whole tone scale, something like that, that gives the music a particular feel and allows you to build in some of those slightly clashing sounds to make the music a bit more interesting. But for the moment, let's recap. Start off with 2 chords. Any 2 you like. You may have chosen 2 patterns of 2 chords, so you end up with 4 chords or more. Doesn't matter, but you've got a wee accompaniment which consists of a couple of chords. Try and make up a texture. Okay, record it on GarageBand if you can, and then if you can work out what notes are in your chords, and you can check online for that, YouTube or Google, see if you can make up a wee bit of melody using some of those notes. Put them together, and then the next stage obviously to develop your melody further by just adding some extra notes and making some wee changes. You might end up with something like this. Bit random, but there you go. More playing about with chords and melody this week, and our aim is just to continue to play around with these ideas in the hope of developing a composition. Last thing I'd like you to do this week is I would like you to tell me the difference between recitative, aria and chorus. There's 3 words there. Recitative is only for the people doing higher and advanced higher, so National 5 people don't need to worry about that one. But for National 5 people, therefore, it's aria and chorus. For higher people, recitative, aria and chorus. And I'd just like you to explain to me what the difference is between those 3 things. They all involve singing, and they were very common from the Baroque period onwards. But I'd like you to explain the difference to me. Okay, well done, folks. If you have any problems, you know where we are. Send us an email, get in touch, and even if it's just to say, Mr. Maben, I haven't got a clue what you're blithering on about, you big Egypt. Okay, I would be delighted to have an email like that. So, best of luck, folks. Play around with these ideas, and if you can share your ideas with us somehow, absolutely fine. If you're finding it difficult to send us stuff, just send me an email and say, look, I've been playing around with this, I've been doing this, but I can't send it to you because I'm a muckle Egypt. You muckle Egypt. Goodbye, folks. Well done.